Recently, our critic at large, Sam Hirsch, was invited to Washington, D.C. to see a press preview of Midway, a war film now playing in Miami. He also interviewed Henry Fonda and Charlton Heston, stars of the picture.
Midway is a powerful war film about the Battle of Midway, one of the most important battles in our history and perhaps the history of the world. It was fought 6 months after Pearl Harbor, when nothing seemed to stop the Japanese Navy in the Pacific. We had inferior forces, yet we won the battle. The movie shows why and how. It uses documentary film shot by both sides and shows death and destruction with terrifying accuracy. It's the first time in years that Hollywood has made a war picture on this scale. Charlton Heston plays a Navy captain. He's a fictional character whose story merges with those of the real war heroes who fought so bravely in the Battle of Midway. I asked Heston what the film says about war.
I think it deals with, as I said, an attempt to present the events of the battle, and also to demonstrate the remarkable capacities of the human animal under stress. Not only the individual courage, the heroism of the heroes of record of the battle, like Admiral Nimitz and Gay and Leslie and all the Rochefort who broke the code and so on, but the anonymous heroism of the hundreds, thousands of officers and men of both navies, if you will, who showed how much more than you can expect of a man can do.
Speaking of heroes, you seem to be cast in the heroic mold. You've played biblical heroes, you've played historical heroes. Is that because you're a big man? Is that because you project those larger than life?
In several cases, it's because I have a fortunate resemblance to some of the men I've played. I can be made to look extraordinarily like Andrew Jackson, yes, a little like Thomas Jefferson, very, very much like Michelangelo. And if not like Moses, nobody knows exactly what he looked like, at least like Michelangelo's.
You always bring such humanity to the roles. Is that part of your effort to keep them from being wooden?
Well, that's better than the reverse, isn't it?
Yes.
To bring a, well, I'd rather do that than bring a wooden quality to the roles and prevent them from seeing
Well, you must work at that.
You, obviously,
yes.
One of the problems in doing a hero, an extraordinary man, is the growing perception, widely held, that they are somehow, the phrase that comes up is larger than life.
Yes.
That's not true, of course. They're larger than you and me. That doesn't mean they're larger than life. I believe in the extraordinary man. And
I know that you've come up through theater, television, and then into films. Would you have done it any differently with hindsight?
I would like perhaps to have had a few more shots at some of the good short roles. The brass ring came by very early for me, and of course I'm glad of that. I'm glad for the way things have worked out for me. I would be afraid to change anything for fear it might turn out differently.
Henry Fonda plays Admiral Chester Nimitz, a silver-haired commander under whom he served on Guam. It's his first movie in years and is a return to those legendary heroes he's so famous for. Though just recovering from an illness, the star answered my questions with enthusiasm.
What does the picture say? Is it an anti-war picture, or is it a picture that glorifies the war effort, if you had to think about it?
Well, I hadn't thought about it. I saw the film 4 nights ago and was very moved and impressed by it as a war picture. I think any war picture is anti-war just because it's so horrible to watch that you don't want to ever listen to it or have anything to do with it again. I think it's interesting that really when Nimitz says at the end of the picture, were we better than the Japanese or just luckier? Because there was so much luck to do with where ships were in position and whether you saw a ship through a cloud mass or not through whether a plane did. A great deal of it was luck.
There's something about Nimitz, for instance, the role you play in Midway, that is a soft-spoken hero.
Well, I knew Nimitz, not well, but having met him in the course of duty in the Navy. I was on Guam at the same time he was there, and was several times sent to his office as a courier. So I had met him, and I knew him well enough to know that he was a soft-spoken gentleman, and I knew enough about him so that there was not a great deal of research to do, besides bleaching my hair snow white and putting on the uniform. That's about all.
Asked about your heroic qualities. Apparently you've passed on some of those same qualities of extreme independence and honesty to your children, Peter and Jane. How do you suppose they will react to this picture? Their views on war are certainly well known.
My guess is neither one of them will see it, because it's not the kind of picture that will attract them, maybe. I don't know. But I can't imagine if they do see it, they'll have any reaction except wow, because I think it's a marvelous film, picture, about what it was, the Midway, the Battle of Midway. It's strictly the Battle of Midway, how it happened gradually and so on. And the effects, the special effects, and the sense around. I'd never been in a theater with sense around before. I went home under shock.
That shakes you up.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. I want to ask you about one of your hobbies, a new hobby that you have. It seems unlikely, painting. I don't know why it's unlikely, except it's not in your character.
It's new, but I do more and more every day, I guess. I just finished one just the other day.
What kind of painting do you do?
Well, it's sharp, focused, realistic, I guess is the easiest way to, you can recognize what I paint.
You paint from photographs or from memory?
No, I paint from real objects. I mean, I paint that. I paint much of fruit. If I had a basket with a loaf of bread in it, or a bunch of grapes with an apple.
I'd love to see a self-portrait of you one of these days. If you think about it, try one. It'd be very interesting. Thank you, Henry Fonda. I wish you well.
Nice to talk to you.